On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, the NHL has been putting out quarter-century teams. And the Avalanche is due to release theirs next week, but that doesn't mean we can't talk about it and guess who it could be today. So let's do that. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. And yeah, if you want to get in on the conversation during the podcast, sign up for our subtext. Link to that's in the show notes below. And when you do, chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, and we get your opinion and we share it on this very episode, like we will do with what we're going to be talking about right now. So we'll get to the Ranger game a little bit later. It's more important to focus on the past.
That's right.
So if you follow the league, you've seen these quarter-century teams that they're putting out. So it's all players that have played with their teams since 2000 to 2024. And they're doing two teams per team, and it's 3 forwards, 2 defensemen, 1 goalie. So you do that twice. And there's no rhyme. They're releasing one a day. There's no rhyme or reason that I could figure out as to how they're releasing the, like,
They're building up to Seattle and Vegas.
Who has a team, by the way. I think Seattle's already out. I think they released Seattle's. I don't think Vegas is out yet. But that, when I saw that, I was just like, there should have maybe been some stipulation that you should have had a franchise in the year 2000.
Nope.
But maybe they just didn't want to leave they
already had reverse
children
retros.
out of it. What's that? Oh yeah, they did have reverse retros. So, which the Seattle retro was okay. I was okay with that because you do have something to go off of. But Vegas was just like, well, what are we doing here? So I don't know. Include them, I guess. They don't want to be left out because they'll go crying to Gary, and we don't want that. So, yeah. So that's pretty much how they're just releasing it random days. The Avalanche are set to be released on the 20th. So what's that, next Monday? Yeah, on next Monday. So why don't we and our people from Subtext try to guess this thing? And it's like twofold. Like, I'm gonna go with who what my team is, and I didn't try to go down the road of like, oh, what do I think they're going to pick? I think that's just like too difficult. This was in doing this, man, like, it was more difficult than I thought it was going to be. I don't know how it was for you.
Yeah, it got difficult, and then especially, again, to reiterate, 2000 to now. So keep that in mind.
Yes, because there's some big names that might be left off of this. And that's the difficult part. And I'm sure this is true for a lot of teams, but especially for the Avs. Like, from 2000 to 2024, it's kind of like split in half.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have that guy that, like, a Sidney Crosby or an Ovechkin who started in early 2000s, from 20 to 2010, and is still playing.
Sure.
You don't have those. It was just all like, you have a great pool to pick from 2000 to like 2008, 2009, and then there's a little bit of a lull there, and then all the guys you have now from like 16 on. So it's a little bit tough to do this. When I was doing it, I'm like, this shouldn't take me too long. But I spent a lot, maybe way more time than I needed to on this because it was tough.
Yeah, and there's a definite valley, and there's a couple players that bridge that valley a little bit, and some of those names will be thrown out on our teams.
All right, and just like what Kyle's saying, some people might get left off. Pittsburgh's was released a couple days ago, and Lemieux was on the second team. Mario Lemieux was on the second team. So I'm just saying, like, that's kind of how this goes. Like, we all know Mario Lemieux is one of the greatest players who ever played the game. And I don't know why I'm all fuzzy right here. So
You have
we'll
ghosts.
fix it. Yeah, we'll fix that. But that, like, he was on the Pittsburgh second team. So don't get mad at us if there's some guys that you really like on here that are left off. So, all right, how you want to do this? Just start with team number one and the forwards.
Yeah, let's do that. Go team
All right.
number. List your 3 forwards. I'll list my
Okay.
3 forwards, and we'll go defense and goalie.
All right. So the 3 forwards I have on team number one, and it does not have to be left wing, right wing, center. You could have 3 centers if you wanted. You have 3 wingers if you wanted. It does not have to be, left, right, center. So for my 3 forwards in team number one, I went Nathan MacKinnon, Joe Sakic, Milan Hejduk.
Interesting, because that's exactly my forwards.
Is it really? Those
Yes.
are your 3.
Yes, and again, I know we reiterated 2000.
Know each other's, by the way. I want to say I didn't want to know yours, so that's a surprise.
We're
Okay,
completely blind on this. And yes, again, I put Sakic on there because his contributions in 01, the hardware he walked out of that season with, and he continued to go. It's almost like you're splitting that man's career in half when you do it that way. But he had a fantastic 2000s. And yeah, Sakic definitely landed on the list. I have Sakic, Nate, and Hejduk.
Yeah, you get a cup that adds, to it moves you up the list, obviously. Even if he didn't win that cup in 01, like I say, he won it in another one in the late 90s. He's still on here.
Yeah.
And played the same amount of time as his last season. His last year, 08, 09, only played 15 games. The year before that, in 07, 08, only played 44. But 44 games, he still had 40 points.
Yeah.
So almost a point per game player in his second to last year, technically. So yeah, I don't think you can leave him off of this. He's still Mr. Avalanche. I think it's hard to do that. And Milan Hejduk, same thing with him. He as time has gone on, I just feel like he's one of the more underrated Avalanche players.
He played from 1998 to 2013. Like his career was like he had 13 years in this quarter century that we're ranking here. Like I know everybody likes to think of Hejduk as, oh yeah, he was in the glory days of winning the cups, but he kept playing. Like he was a member of this team and a huge member of this team, racking up the points and his leadership. He played till 2013.
Yeah, 5th overall right now in points, and might be there for a little bit longer. Mikko Rantanen is the next one to catch him, who Mikko's at 677. So, and MacKinnon, I think, he's halfway through his career and he's already there for me.
Yeah.
So that's all right. We got the same 3 forwards. Let's see who we got for our first team defenseman. I have Cale Makar.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one where I'm like, I don't think like when the it's announced officially by the league, I don't think he's going to be here. I think he'll be on team number 2. But for me and what he meant to this franchise, I put Erik Johnson on team number 1.
Interesting. He did not make either team for me, and I
Okay.
had to really fight for this one because I have Cale Makar
Mm-hmm.
and I have Rob Blake.
I
have Rob Blake because he stayed around a while as well, and he was incredible for this team. I put Cale and Rob Blake on team 1.
Yeah, I can, and that's the funny thing with Erik Johnson is I can totally understand moving him down to the second team, and I could even understand some people just leaving him off completely because like stats wise, he's not going to wow you. That was never his game anyway. But for me, it was just more. He's like one of the few guys on here that I kind of like didn't put so much emphasis on the stats part of it.
Yeah.
And what did he mean to the franchise? What did he mean to the team? And then getting the cup and the emotion that was surrounding him getting the cup, that for me propped him all the way up to. And he was going to make 1 or 2 for me. And I was really going back and forth, like putting him on 2. I'm like, you know what? Like, this is my team. Darn it.
I will do what I want.
Exactly. And for that reason, just what he meant and how much I rooted for that guy, I'm putting him at number one. And I know there's probably some people that do not agree with that, and that's completely fine. This is that's your opinion, and this one's mine, and I'm putting EJ on my number one quarter century team.
And I'm curious who you have as number one goalie, because this one, it's rough when you think about it, but not when you really think about it.
My number one goalie was Varlamov.
Same here.
Yeah, I think it has to be. I think he had really good numbers, pretty good longevity with the team. Wasn't there forever, but the Avs have not really had a guy that has been there for a long period of time at the goalie position from the year 2000 on.
Yeah,
it just hasn't happened. He's probably up there with one of the guys who has the longest tenure in goal for the Avs. So, and on top of that, like, his numbers were good with the team. So I think he's got to be on the team number one.
Yeah, and I think the conversation is really going to get interesting when it gets to number two, because it's a clear number one, and then your team two is honestly wherever your heart leads, because it's been Varley, and he's still going, by the way.
He is. Yep. So, all right, let's get our first break in, and it's it's funny because the team number two, like you said,
and you froze. This is like, that's the interesting part. Like, there's a clear number one, but number two, there's a lot of people that are listening probably have a lot of members that are on number two on team number one. So I'm curious how this goes.
Or left off altogether.
That's true.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's get a break in, and team number two, and I'm here from our subtext people as well right after this. All right, FanDuel, from big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel, but they're not better without the Denver Broncos.
I know. They tried for 4 drives.
But you still have to feel good about where they are headed, in the direction that they are headed in. So right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same game parlays, and so much more. Who's your horse now, man? If Broncos are out of it, who are you riding?
Well, my son is a huge Eagles fan, so I'm going to be riding the Eagles.
I think I'm just going. Go get it, Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Dan Talica needs one.
It's your time. So visit FanDuel.com, join today, and get started with the $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, let's jump into team number two here. And for our forwards, this gets a little bit dicey. Do you want me to go first for this one as well?
Let me lead with this one. I want to see if we match. Let's go. And team number two, my forwards: Mikko Rantanen, Gabriel Landeskog, Peter Forsberg.
It pained me to no end to leave my probably favorite player on the Colorado Avalanche off of this team number two, and therefore off of everything.
Yeah.
It was close. I don't have Forsberg on here, and it was just, I mean, he didn't play enough in the turn of the century. Let's see, he was there. When did he leave? 05-06. So he had 3 seasons, came back, but didn't. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
When he came back, he didn't do anything. So 9 games in 07-08, 2 games in 10-11. So he really played 3 really good 3 full seasons that he played. But for me, I have the same. The other 2 are the same. I got Landeskog and Mikko, and I put Alex Tanguay in there.
See, I thought about Stastny over Forsberg.
So did I.
And I was fighting with that one really, really hard.
Yes. Stastny I was fighting with. And
nope.
Dude.
Nope.
I have to throw it out there.
Nope.
What would the reaction be if Matt Duchene is thrown on this team number 2? He's 8 years he played with him.
We'll never know.
Eight in the sniff after that. Number wise, he's still, where is he? He's 13th overall still. So that is down the list. And Stasny is above him. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think he's close. I think he's closer than a lot of Avalanche fans are comfortable with to making this team.
No, I think actually doing the research on this list, I think my my blockers on my browser disallowed his name from even showing up. So
I don't think it's going to happen, but man, if it does, if he sneaks in there for some reason, you might see riots in the streets, like something similar to winning the cup riots. Yeah. But I didn't have him there, and I was really close with Stasny. And obviously, I thought about Forsberg, but just because he's my favorite player.
Yeah.
But I think the Tanguay was there for a little bit longer. His stats are good at the turn of the century. So and he was a favorite too. So yeah. I had to put him in there. Had to put him in there.
They brought him back again. So
trying to think of was there anybody else? Ryan O'Reilly was another one putting on there, but I mean, he really picked up more after he left.
Yeah, he really did.
So yeah, other than that, I think that's really the only thing to kind of go back and forth with on the forwards is probably, I think Landeskog and Rantanen most people will have.
No brainer.
And then it's okay, who's the third one? And it's probably between Tanguay, Stasny, and I'm sure because of the popularity of Forsberg, he'll be in there too.
I thought those years were, if you're saying all-time seasons, like his contributions, I thought Forsberg warranted that. But sure. I'm all day. There's no wrong answer there on who you slot in.
All right. Defenseman, who you got?
This is going to be interesting. I have Sandis Ozolinsh and Adam
Foote. And who?
Adam Foote.
I got Foote. Ozolinsh, I didn't really give him too much time.
Ozo was so clutch for the team. And like how you mentioned, like underrated, like with Hejduk, I feel that way with the original 8 all the time.
See, but Ozolinsh for me, well, let me see here, because I might have to. I'm looking at Ozolinsh stats. He didn't play after the turn of the century.
I had him going much longer than that.
No, he played in 99, 2000. So yeah, wow. Okay, I thought he played at least a couple years into 2000, but
because I had him going much into 2000.
Because I probably would put him on there. I mean, what did he have total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only had 5 years. Man, it seemed like it was longer than that. But yeah, he just misses the cut here.
Well, who do you got as your other defender?
So where are we here?
Because this is gonna pain me, because who's your alternate? Because I wonder if it's mine.
My alternate was Blake. I don't have Blake on here.
Okay, because I had Tyson Barrie.
Barry's another one that just missed out for me.
Yeah, Tyson.
I don't have either one of those. You want to know who I got? I put Johnny Lyles on here.
I get it.
John Michael Lyles on here.
I get it, and that's probably.
Let me see.
Because I was warring, like I had 2 or 3 browsers open, and I had Ozo up there, and I wanted to give him a little bit of shine,
which would have been fine, yeah.
And I didn't want to put Barrie up there because he's not my favorite, but man, he was clutch.
He was good.
He was, and that blue line slap shot, I missed it all the time. Like that EJ Barrie connection, I missed it a lot. But when you throw Lyles in there, and especially like he's becoming a real face for the organization, like afterwards, like he's making appearances like on NHL Network, like he's becoming Mr. Avalanche, and
people love him. Yeah,
and he's doing really good in that regard. And I could see him popping up like on a ESPN or NHL Network, and looking back at his career, it's going to be aging like wine.
Ooh, there's a nice, that's a pun. Yeah, I mean he's 4th in overall points for defensemen in the franchise. I thought he was just a good, solid player for a long starter's career with them. Played from 03 on 03, 04 till 10 and 11. Yeah, I mean, if you're ranking for the entire franchise, he's not on there. Because Ozolin's probably beats him. Blake probably, Blake maybe beats him. And yeah, you could make the argument for Tyson Barrie, like right now on this thing, because Tyson Barrie is still second overall in points, only beaten out by Cale Makar, obviously. So I think that's going to be an interesting one to see too, who they put on there because I think I think a lot of people have Foot as on team number 1.
Yeah,
which is completely fine. That's the
yeah.
only thing I was going between is alternating Foot and Erik Johnson between team 1 and team 2.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But
going into this, you thought forwards would be difficult, and it really wasn't. Defense was really a struggle for me.
Forwards kind of evened out. It was just like, okay, well, now where am I going to put these? Like number 1, and then you kind of just go through them, and you're like, yeah, I think team number 1 forwards was maybe the easiest thing that I came up with.
Yeah.
Goalie for team number 2 was a little bit difficult, and I'm interested to see who you got. Who do you got for that?
Shigeru. No, I'm just kidding. I put Philip Grubauer.
Okay. Do you care to explain?
He was, I mean, when he went away, he went away. It's understood.
Right.
He had great times. And honestly, when it comes to the list, I know I have this terrible, sick feeling. I know who you're going to put at number 2.
Who?
Is he wearing teal right now?
No.
Okay.
He's not.
Interesting. No, I feel like, and it just fit to have that tandem of Varley and Grubauer. Like, Grubauer had great numbers in Colorado, like good numbers.
Yeah.
He wasn't stellar, but he got the job done.
Okay. And I was going through all of the guys that
David Abishur.
Yeah, I like him. Obviously Grubauer and Peter Budaj. Peter Budaj was right up there for me for a while. I had him in the number 2 spot, but I just didn't feel comfortable with it. Like it was more of a tenure thing than anything else. And then you're like, well, even Darcy Kemper, even though he was there for 1 year, he won a title. So the title means something. And if I'm going to do that, if I'm going to put a lot of emphasis on a title and maybe like the tenure is not that big of a deal to me, I threw it all away and I put Patrick Waugh on number 2.
Interesting.
He only did 3 seasons.
That's why I left him off.
I understand that, but he played 3 seasons, 2000 and 2001 to 2002, 2003. But in those 3 years, he was great. Won a cup. He was awesome. So I'm like, I know that's the shortest tenure that I have on this list is 3 years.
Yeah.
But it's Patrick Waugh. It's the greatest of all time, and the stats are great, and he won a cup. And why would I put him above anybody else that played for the Avalanche that has more time, but did they really do much?
Yeah.
That you can put them over the incomparable Patrick Waugh. So I didn't do it right away. I was like, I had Budaj in there for a while. And again, I was like, it just doesn't fit. Maybe I'll should I throw a lot of emphasis on Kemper? And that's when it snapped. I'm like, if I'm going to put an emphasis on a cup, it's got to be Patrick Waugh.
Yeah, if you're going to justify one season, you can't pass 3 seasons of Waugh.
Right.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So, and that he's one I'll be interested to see if they put him on there. Like I said, they did it with Lemieux. Lemieux is on team 2 for Pittsburgh. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Patrick Waugh makes team 2. Yeah. So,
and Jared Bednar, head coach.
Oh God, yeah, easy. Who'd be team 2 head coach?
Was that Crow in 01?
Was it? I don't have that up right now.
It might have. Was that Crow?
Sacco.
Yeah, it's Jared Bednar, but
yeah. So that's where, and maybe even Patrick Waugh would be number 2 for the head coach as well. Maybe he does both. Who knows? All right, let's get a break in. I want to get to some subtext people chiming in on this, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about this Ranger game. So we'll do all that next. All right. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions that you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? I think that's definitely happened to most of us. We had a few subscriptions that we didn't even realize that you were still paying for. And Rocket Money has made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit for this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked-on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Go there now. All right. So those are our teams. We'll see how wrong or right we are in about a week. Threw this over to the people on subtext. And again, if you want to get in on conversations like this, just sign up in the show notes. The link is down there. So let's see who we got here. Adam says team number 1, Sakic, MacKinnon, Forsberg, Makar, and Ray Bourque. And he's got Patrick Waugh on team number 1. I can't put Ray Bourque on there. I can't do it. Like, love the guy, all-time NHL moment. Never mind Avalanche moment, but just didn't have enough time with the team. And he's a Bruin.
He's a Bruin. It was a good story, but when it comes to 25 years of Avalanche hockey,
it's tough. Yeah. That's tough. His team number 2 is Rantanen, Hejduk, Tanguay, Foote, and Johnny Lyles. And Varlamov is his second goalie. He says, I'm willing to bet they look specifically at stats in an Av sweater, so Bourque won't be on it, but he's an Av to me. Playing with fire there, Adam. I know, I get it, and I know, and I appreciate the Boston Bruin fans going halvesies with him, but I think they claim him. But in Avalanche lore, he's a legend.
Yeah,
he's a legend. So
iconic moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. You got Coy here. Said he sent a picture in. Let me see if I can. He's like Tanguay, Sakic, and Hejduk, Foote, Makar, and he's got Darcy Kemper on there.
Understandable.
Not a number 1 though.
It's
not number 1.
The cup means that. I mean, for a lot of people, that could be the first cup. They probably didn't experience the 601, so that could have been special.
2, he's got Landeskog, MacKinnon, Rantanen, Taves, and Erik Johnson. You got Don Taves in there. I think you do this for, I don't know, 35 years, and Taves might be on there.
I thought about Taves for probably 15 seconds.
Yeah. And he's got Frankie as his second goalie.
Love it.
That's a good one, man. I like that. Let's see. So did we get here? Let me see. That's Corey's got that one. There was one other one on here that I wanted to get to. I don't know where it is. Oh, hang on. Cody, did they get Cody? No, Cody said first team forwards, Sakic, MacKinnon, and Rantanen. That'd be an interesting one. I wonder if Rantanen can sneak his way onto the first team. I don't know. I just think with Hejduk, I think the stats are too much. Like, Mikko hasn't caught him yet.
Yeah.
I think when it's all said and done, you go back and kind of do this for whatever.
Much different story.
Yeah. Second team forwards, Forsberg, Landeskog, and Valnichuskin. Hey, now. That's a surprise. Let's see, because they have offensive capabilities. Push comes to shove, they're willing to be more physical. On defense, he's got Makar and Bourque. He's another one with Ray Bourque on the top line.
Understand.
Did he do a team 2 for defense? I don't see him that he did a team 2 for defense. So just that. And then for goalie, he said Patrick Waugh, no question. He said he won 2 cups. Yes, he did, but we're only counting the one right now. So and because he revolutionized the sport with the butterfly.
That's true.
I get
That's
that.
very true.
I get that. So and then MacKinnon 29 says team number 1 Forsberg, Sakic, MacKinnon, Makar and Blake as defenders, Patrick Waugh as the goalie, and team number 2 Landeskog, Hejduk, and Rantanen, Johnny Lyles and Ray Bourque, another Ray Bourque as team 2, and Varlamov is his second goalie.
Honestly, I could kind of give some credence to the Bourque crowd because like Mission 16W came there.
Yeah.
Like he fired that team up to get that 01 cup. So there could be a lot there.
We'll see. We'll see how this turns out. But I think the funny thing is Vargar is on here somewhere, and I'm trying to find it, but he didn't have MacKinnon. He's not the biggest MacKinnon fan. And he's sticking to his guns on that. I understand. I understand. Where is it?
We've had conversations about such. So
yeah. And oh wait, here it is. So he just put Forsberg, and he loves Forsberg. So Forsberg, Landeskog, Sakic. He put Makar and Taves. He already put Taves on there, and Varlamov as the goalie. So I can't imagine MacKinnon's not going to be on team number 1. But could Waugh even slide into team number 1 because but I always go back to the Pittsburgh thing.
Yeah.
If Mario's not on team number 1.
Super Mario's better years were in the 90s.
Sure, absolutely. And so were Waz. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to see and interesting to do. I'm glad they're doing it. I like when they do stuff like this. So
yeah, and it's always good to go back.
Yeah. Yep. So fire away in the comments section. I'm sure there's a lot of people with their opinions, and that's all this is, folks. Is opinions. I'm not going to get mad at anybody, and I hope nobody gets mad at us for how we constructed our teams here. Hey, if you want to put Ray Bourque on team number 1, go for it. It's an Avalanche player. I'm not going to be mad at you.
If you want to put Ozelinch on there, even though I took his San Jose stint for Colorado.
It's quite all right. All right. So that's teams of the past. Teams of the right now is the Avalanche going up against the Rangers. And we'll just briefly touch on this. And I don't want to say this is like a huge, all games are big.
Yeah.
All games are big game. I think it's a big game just to get back in the win column, obviously. So, with Dallas playing very well lately, you lost that game against the Jets. So that's one of those 4-point games. You gotta keep up with the Joneses right now. And with the Rangers, as difficult as a season as it has been for them, you can't allow them to come in to your barn and win a game. You can't do it.
Well, see, the thing is, the New York Rangers are currently streaking, and but it's kind of a big deal. And if you beat the Colorado Avalanche, we talk about this all the time. If you beat the Avalanche, that's kind of a big deal too. So this could be a momentum shift for the Rangers of where they're sitting. Like they're sitting at 20-20-2. Like I know we like to talk about like a dumpster fire of a season. It's not that bad. And this could change the course of things for the Rangers. Like I know like Ranger fans are starting to believe it. Like with the
no, they're not. I'm around a lot of Ranger fans.
Know. I get what you're saying, but like I'm also seeing like these last 2 wins, like the stats they're putting up, the fight that they've been taking to the Devils, like this could be, are the Rangers finally putting things together? And like in the last 10 games, the Avs are 7-2-1. The Rangers, if they win this against Colorado, this is 5-5-1.
Which is a lot better. I'm not discounting that. Yeah.
And you're working your way out, and you have the trade deadline coming up. Like the Rangers don't feel like they're completely dead yet. And this is one of those statement games that the Rangers could catch the Avalanche, expecting the Rangers the memeable Rangers, and you could get caught sleeping, and the Rangers take this game. They take all the momentum, and the Avs have to put things together. So it's a difficult game.
I mean, they are playing better. They are playing, but like for the past stretch of games, they got a win over the Bruins, who they're faltering too. They lost to the Capitals and gave up 7 goals, and the Capitals seem to be a juggernaut right now. Then they hung 6 on the Blackhawks to win. They lost in overtime to Dallas. They beat the Devils in overtime, and then they just beat the Golden Knights in regulation. So yeah, like the last handful of games, they're playing better. And that game for the Golden Knights was in Vegas. Always a tough place to play. Yeah, if you take the season as a whole, they're not where they should be.
No.
And they went through just this long stretch of just not being able to do anything right. Have they pulled themselves out of it? Maybe a little bit, but they still got a long way to go. And we'll see. Like, yeah, they will feel good. They will feel good beating Vegas in Vegas. That really kind of helps the mental state of things. Now, hey, if we can go into Vegas and beat them in regulation, sure, we can hang with the Avs. We'll see.
They're on a road trip. This is a rallying road trip for the New York Rangers that we talk about the Avalanche taking those Canadian road trips. Same kind of deal for the Rangers. So
yeah, but
watch
you
out.
Just have, I mean, outside of Panarin, he's the only point per player guy that they have in 40 games played. He's got 45 points, so he's still doing Panarin things. You got Adam Fox, you got Trocheck. Zibanejad's just he's a negative 21 on the season.
Yeah, he's not great.
That's horrible. And in 42 games, he's only got 27 points. He's much better than that. So, and then Kreider, good Lord, 34 games, 15 points. People are talking about him being on the trade block. He probably is. And I know a lot of Avalanche fans want him here. I would have last year, but good God, like what has happened to him? I don't know. 2 assists all season long. 2 assists.
Yeah.
For Chris Kreider. He's much better than that. So I would be really afraid to take him on right now, because has he just completely lost it? Or would it be one of those things where it's a change of scenery, just gets him back into the flow of things, and with a different team? Who knows? I don't think it's going to happen. But you're hearing his name thrown around a lot in trade deals, and the Avalanche are attached to him. I don't think I wouldn't go down that road the way that he's playing this year.
Yeah, if the Avs win this game, it's business as usual. It's a much bigger deal for the Rangers, and the Avs have to understand that and play to that. They have to really step up. You can't go out and play like you did against Chicago. Like, you've got to rise to the occasion, because the Rangers want this game. The Avs need to want this game.
Yeah, and they will. So I say that, and Chris Kreider will score a hat trick. A hat trick and 3 assists of a 6-point game. So, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying like
Zibanejad will assist on all of them.
Yeah. On the other hand, I'm just thinking of it now, like the way that he is playing, you could get him for relatively cheap.
No,
it would be the worst idea, but I'm just not there. The way that he's playing, it's brutal. Yeah. So, all right, we will be back tomorrow to talk about it. So, however this goes, we're going to break it down for tomorrow's episode. So make sure you're tuning in to that one. But for this one, thank you for tuning in and making this one your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And you got through another 24 hours. Sidney Crosby is that much closer to becoming a Colorado Avalanche.
This century's best Penguin.
He would have been on team 2.